make a quiz right inside of a PowerPoint that you share with the kids. So let's dig in and see how this works. Okay, so one of the things you need to know is that this is going to work best on the desktop version, like many things. I notice when I'm editing Excel sheets, Word, whatever, the online version is great, but it's not always full featured. So you definitely want to make sure that you use the online version. So if you haven't installed that yet, you can just go to Office 365, log in with your BPS credentials, go up here to the upper corner that says Install Office. You can also do it with some options, but I don't think you need to do that. Just click on Install Office 365 Apps, and you'll get that installed. So then when you get there, you'll go to OneDrive, and you'll see your file like this. So this is open in the online version. So if I want to edit it in the desktop version, I just go up to where it says Editing here, click on that, and then I just click on Open in the Desktop app. And then it'll open in the desktop app. So I've already done that, so I'm going to just show you this. So here's what it looks like in the desktop app. More features, a lot more stuff at the top. It's just a better way to do it. And if you want to insert a quiz with forms, this is the way to go. So here I am in the Home button. You can see that this quiz has 3 slides. So the first one is my title slide here. The second one is actually a quiz that I've already put in there. So it's going to take a second for this to load up, but this is a quiz that I've already put in. This is for the book that the kids do during summer school for 7th grade, which I teach a lot of the time, which is called Al Capone Does My Shirts. So this is just a simple multiple choice quiz. I did it in right here within PowerPoint using Microsoft Forms. I'm already signed in, so look how it says there. Hi Robert, when you submit this, the owner will be able to see your name and email address. So great thing about this is it's automatically going to collect the kid's email and name. So just a simple multiple choice quiz. There's actually 30 questions to this because it's a pretty big one. But the nice thing about it is I can send this to the kids with some slides that go along with it. I can add some story details I want them to reread before they take the quiz, possibly give them some other things. So I'm still working on this, but I've got this quiz in there. And when they open it up, they can submit the quiz. It will correct itself and give me their scores, which is awesome. So let's take a look at how I do this. So here is a new slide. So if you want to do this, you can just click here where it says New Slide. You can choose some different types of layouts for those slides. You can also Right, so you can insert slides here. You can also, once you're in here, you can see this one has the classic title and content here. You can also change them here. So with the layout key. So I'm going to change this to just blank, right? I'm just going to change it to blank because I don't really need anything else in there. So now I'm going to create a quiz. So I go up to Insert, and I will now see all the different things I can insert, and right in the middle there is a link for forms. So I'm already signed into Office 365. When I click on Forms, one of the things I'm going to see is I'm going to see 2 choices for new things, and then I'm going to see all of the forms that I've created in my Office account already down there. So if I had old quizzes and I want to throw them into a new PowerPoint using this delivery method, I can go back and do that. But today, I'm going to show you how to do it right from the start. So I have the option here of creating a new form or a new quiz. Now, what's the difference? A new form is good for collecting information. So I used forms a lot with the kids when we did the virtual homerooms and the Check and Connect. I use a lot of forms, to collect their information, how are you doing, is there anything you're struggling with, etc. It wasn't anything that was graded, right? So forms are great for collecting information. Quizzes, though, will allow you to set up questions that will grade themselves. So that's what we want to use here today. Although you could obviously just put a regular old form in a PowerPoint if you needed to, right? So maybe you're doing a PowerPoint introducing a project, you could put a form in there and ask the kids, now that you've seen the PowerPoint presentation, what are you going to do your project on? and what do you think your final product would be? So you could put a form in there if it's not something that needs to be graded, it just needs to be collected, okay? So let's look at the quiz. So I'm going to click on quiz. It is going to open up in a new window, and it's going to take me to my Office 365. So it takes me to Office 365. I'm already signed in. You can see up here at the top, and it immediately opens up the quiz for me there. So I am going to go in here and I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to call this the supplemental quiz, because I already have one in there, right? And of course it would help if I typed that in correctly. Okay. It also has an enter a description, so I could add some information here. So I could say, take these short, let's see, answer the short questions after finishing the quiz on slide 2. Okay, so something like that. You could, you could have multiple quizzes in the same PowerPoint. Let's just say that. Okay, so now that I'm there, you can also do a couple other things. You can create a theme. So if you wanted to just fancy up the outside a little bit, you can grab one of the themes from here. You can make it just plain old color or a background, or you could use the pictures at the top. So I'm just going to go with a simple background with green here, and you'll see now that I've done that it has created all the buttons and everything in that green theme. If I wanted to add it with the background, I could click on the background and now I've got the picture. So you could do that. You'll see in that previous one that for the other quiz that I put a picture of Alcatraz in the back, which is the setting of the novel. So I'm in there now. I can add questions. So questions are basically, what you would expect to see in other things. Choice, which is multiple choice. Text, a rating, which is just it could be a 5-star rating. It could be numbers. If you have a couple levels, so there's a couple options there, right? On a scale of 1 to 5, right? But we're not going to use that because this is a quiz. You could collect dates from people, so just know it's the same thing as in the forms. You could collect the date. You could do ranking, so you could have different things the kids could push around and slide and rank them. Maybe you were doing something with order of operations, or you wanted to show some sort of hierarchy. Maybe you're doing, animal classification, right? Kingdom, phylum, etc. Class, genus, species. You could have those all mixed up, and the kids could rank them top to bottom with kingdom on the top, and genus and species at the bottom, right? So something like that. You could do a Likert scale. You could also have them upload a file. So if this was a quiz where they had a writing component, you could give them the opportunity to upload it as a Microsoft Word file or whatever file they might have written their essay in. And you can also create new sections, okay? So we're just going to stick with multiple choice. So when I click multiple choice, it's classic. Question here, options here. The default is 2. So if I just add option here, it will just add option, so I can do my normal 4. So there's 2 ways I can do this. So the first way I can do it is to put the question in and then the answers in the bottom. So let me just give you an example. I could say, who is the administrator whose office is on the 4th floor, right? So I type my question in here, and then I could put my answers in. Right, so I've got my answers in, right? Okay, so now remember, this is a quiz, so I want it to grade itself. So I can hover over the answer, and we know that Mr. Frito is the right choice. And I can click the check mark to mark this as the correct answer. Now, there's also a couple other options. First is obviously the delete key, so if that's a mistake and I want to delete my choice and put a new one in, I just hit delete. But I also have this one, which is display a message to respondents who select this answer. So this will auto-correct. If I wanted to add some information that would help the kids the next time, I could add in the answers here. So I could say, if someone selects Miss Potempa, I could say, she is on the 2nd floor. And then I could go down to Miss Duloc, and I could say, she is on the 3rd floor. And for Mrs. Cotto, I could say, she is on the 1st floor, right? So I could give the kids that extra information so that when they see the quiz and they see their answers at the end, they'll get that feedback that they might need. Okay, so that's how I do multiple choice questions. That's the first way to do it. The second way to do it, so let me add a question. Now I'm going to go in and add a question. It's going to be multiple choice again, right? And I want to have 4 options. The second way I could do it is if I had multiple choice questions already online that that had choices. So let's say I went to New York State Regents maybe for math. Let's say, for example, let's say I went for old algebra exams and I wanted to look up questions. So I'm going to open up a question here. So here I am. This is the January 2020 Regents exam. Right, so I want to use some questions. So if I'm using pre-formatted questions, one of the things that happens quite often is that they've already got answers. So we know Regents exams are usually 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we know that that's the way. So I could copy and paste that from that sheet, and I could see it's going to give me this kind of format. So if that was the kind of thing I wanted to do, where I just wanted to copy and paste the question in, then I could leave these the same, which is nice because they're already labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's look at the preview of these 2 questions. So here it is. You can see the preview of this here. So I can go in and select my answer. I'm going to select the wrong answer here. And then I've got it here, so I can see my choices here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So given 7 times x, 258, which number set is not in the solution set, right? So I can choose an answer for that. Let's say I think it's 3, right? And then I can hit submit and I can view the results, right? So it tells me here that the right answer was Mr. Frito, the wrong answer was Mrs. Duloc, and that actually she's on the 3rd floor. So it gives me the feedback there. And I forgot to put the answer in for number 2, but if I did, I could put in why the other 3 are the wrong answers, right? So that's the kind of thing that you can do with these quizzes. And then you can embed them right into the PowerPoint, which is great because the PowerPoint is an easy way to deliver extra content. So you can deliver your whole lesson in there. You can talk over it, create videos, etc. And then you can give the kids a quiz at the end. So I hope that you'll check this out and try it. So once I've got that done, it automatically will upload it right into my PowerPoint. So I'm going to close this, go back to my original one, and when I go into my 3rd slide, I'll see my supplemental quiz. I just have to refresh. And here are my options right here. I can go back in and I can re-edit those if I wanted to add questions for later, or I wanted to do something like that, right? I can go in there and I can alternate these. I can also see my responses here, which tell me who answered what. So I can see here for the first question that only 1 person responded here. It took them 27 seconds to complete, which is important because you can see who's rushing through quizzes and stuff and maybe not doing a good job. And then I can see that the 1 person who answered me, which was wrong, chose Mrs. Duloc when the right answer was Mr. Frito. I get a nice little chart here. I can also open it up in Excel, so I could do some sorting there when I have all of the 120 kids that you have in your classes in there. So I hope this helps. I hope that you'll try to supplement your PowerPoints with quizzes. You see how nice and neat that is when you get the kids that open them up in online. It's a great way to collect information and to get those things done. So I hope you check it out. There are a lot of other features in there that you can try. Let me just show you a couple here. So when it comes to sharing this, you can do it as a link, but what I would do is just download it and save it to your computer and upload it in Schoology. But there are some settings you can change here. So you can have it so that it shows the results automatically. So when the kids are done, all of the answers that you put in will show to them. They'll see what their score is going to be. I would keep this one checked to only people in my organization can respond. Why? Because the kids will have to be signed in, which they should be signed in anyway to get into Schoology and to the files. But the nice thing is that it will automatically record the names. You can set it to 1 response per person, or you can uncheck that box if you want to give the kids multiple attempts. And then remember, you can always, when you get your results, you can sort them in Excel. So if kids have multiple attempts, you could go in there and you could drop the lowest one or average them or whatever you want to do when you put them in your grade book. And then down here, you've got some options for accepting responses. So you can have this just set to accept responses, and then when you unclick it, it will update, and then kids won't be able to send them in anymore. So you could do it that way. You could also set a start and end date. The end date will do the same thing, where once you reach the end date in time, it will automatically shut it off. You can use it to shuffle the questions, which is great. So if I have a multiple choice quiz like I showed you for Al Capone, and I had 30 questions, I could shuffle them all. All 30 questions will be shuffled. So it's nice because if kids are in the physical classroom next to each other, they won't be able to cheat off of each other. You can also lock particular questions. So if I had 30 questions and the last 2 were essay questions, I probably, or short answer questions, I probably would want to keep those last. So I could lock questions 29 to 30 if I had 30. You can see it saying it's an error, but if I had 30 questions, I could lock the last 2 because then it would keep them at the end. So I hope that makes sense to you. And then you can customize a thank you message. So I could say something like, your response was submitted. I could keep that there and say, if you need help with this material, please see me during office hours. Okay? So you could customize a thank you message that will get broadcast to the kids once they respond. You can also allow for receipts of responses after submission, so the kids will get a receipt that shows that they did it. And you can get an email notification when kids respond. So you have to decide whether you want to do that or not. It will add up to quite a few emails. So you might be mindful of whether you check that or don't check that. And that's it. And it will automatically sync back to the PowerPoint as you do it. And that's all you need to do. So you just share this with the kids and they can do the quiz right in there. It will collect their information and you're good to go. So I hope you give this a shot. And if you need anything, see me during office hours. Have a great day.